Just pivot to who you think Joe Biden's talking about developing a cabinet, and there are organizations out there. I think there are organizations out there that are starting to push to make sure that certain people aren't picked, which is good. And like so much of this process, on some level, Obama taught activists and people on the outside the implications of who is on the transition team. And, you know, like it was Froman who ended up being the trade guy who did push PPP, but Froman was from Citigroup, and he is the one who basically helped staff the Obama administration, and Citigroup did. And in this instance, I think people are smarter about it and they're paying attention. There are organizations that are doing it. Maybe we should have somebody on, you know, like Jeff Hauser over at the Open Door Initiative that comes out of EPI. He's doing stuff like this. I imagine there's a lot of these organizations. Everybody pays attention to the VP. That's going to be particularly important this time around because of Joe Biden's durability, let's say. But what's your sense of what's happening?
I think, okay, so you're absolutely right. What we went through with Barack Obama, that's when I realized Barack Obama wasn't who we thought he was, right? As soon as we saw we didn't find out until after the fact that Citigroup was doing all the vetting, but you could see it in real time when Rahm Emanuel and then Timothy Geithner. For me, when I saw Timothy Geithner, I said, oh, okay, I see what the game was the whole time. But we'll see how effective it is, right? Because I think we have in Joe Biden, and particularly the people who surround him, I think we have people who believe that they are above the backlash of activists and of people on the ground, of these organizations. I feel like they honestly believe that they can stick it to us and stick anyone in those positions that they want to. The jury is out on that. We'll see. Like I said, I don't know how this election plays out because the coronavirus and the backdrop really changes the dynamics of everything. But I do know some of the people that are around Joe Biden, and I just don't think they give a damn what any activist groups have to say about it. And I think that they should tread carefully because I think the last thing that they need to do, in addition to alienating Bernie Sanders supporters, is to alienate people who otherwise would find a way to convince themselves to support Joe Biden. But particularly like in the, watching the VP race, I think he has some landmines there that that's really, I think it's a no-win situation for him on that one because there's so many people pulling really hard for Kamala Harris and Stacey Abrams. I don't think Georgia is a swing state yet. I think it's almost a swing state, but it's not one yet. California is definitely not a swing state. And so that really does put Klobuchar and Whitmer particularly in play. But that backfires spectacularly because a lot of the African-American support for Joe Biden was based on the idea that there will be an African-American or a woman of color VP pick.
And not to mention, Whitmer and Klobuchar are on that, in terms of that list, are on the right side of that list.
Yes, very much so.
Harris, I don't consider Harris, on the left in any way, but I also don't think that that she's really established any type of like in a politics, frankly. Yeah. I mean, I think she's sort of an open book. That's not necessarily a positive. It's just I don't think that she really has any politics other than she was a cop for a while and. Acted like one, but, and Stacey Abrams, for that matter, I don't think is really, frankly, as progressive as, people have this assumption she is. But again, also not so easy, to glean when she was running in Georgia. I'm with you on this. I don't know. And Elizabeth Warren's name is really being pushed right now as well. Mm-hmm. I am of the mind that he needs to pick he's already said he's going to pick a woman. I'm of the mind he needs to pick a woman of color.
Yes.
And
I think politically speaking, right? Like if you want to do some, you're going to lose. Joe Biden is going to have a problem with the black vote anyway. Right. Hillary Clinton had a problem with it. If Joe Biden does not pick a black woman, a woman of color, then there's going to be a lot of people who turn on him. And even if they don't actively turn and work against him, they won't be motivated to go out and support him. So he's got some landmines to navigate. I have my daughter here who is insisting on my attention. But go ahead. Continue. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I just got a text from my daughter who was trying to explain to me why I heard all this screaming. Because my daughter at this between the hours of 10:30 and noon is in charge of my son, and that's this is all part of it now.
Yeah, so, this is part of our new world, right?
Exactly. Well, I mean, do you have a sense of who he's going to pick?
No, actually, and I'm sorry, Sam, I don't know if I want to give them good advice either. Like, you guys pick Joe Biden. I mean, let it all fall the way it's going to fall. I mean, I think conventional Democratic consulting is going to say either Klobuchar or Whitmer, right? And good luck with that.
Oh my gosh! I mean, look, first of all, the political science says there's no evidence that vice presidents help in their home states anymore,
right?
And all you need to do is point to 2016, right? I mean, Tim Kaine was supposed to deliver Virginia. He didn't, right?
I can't recall, but I knew. I think there's whether or not they help, they certainly hurt. Tim Kaine certainly hurt the ticket, especially when it came to the debates. When it came to just his position, his I don't have a better word for it right now than the lack of swagger. He was a cornball, and he really brought down the ticket ideologically as well. Like, he just was not an ideological addition to Hillary Clinton. But that's the type of thinking that goes in play with these Democratic consultants who honestly are getting paid tens of millions into the hundreds of millions of dollars combined to give bad advice. So I think people are really pulling for Kamala Harris on Twitter, but the Democratic consulting class are really about to sandbag them with someone who's going to help him lose.
Right. Clinton did win Virginia, and I think it was actually by about 5 points. And so, but I don't know that that's attributable to Tim Kaine. Right. I think the idea is that she was trying to signal, like, I'm good in the suburbs, right, with Tim Kaine. And I mean, I don't know. I don't envy him having to make that pick. I mean, I guess the obvious one is Harris, and I would imagine that's the way he's going to go. But I'm not terribly thrilled about that. I mean, I think from a from the actual politics, I would rather have a Warren as VP, because at the very least, there's going to be some conduit to getting more left voices in there, arguably.
I think a Hail Mary would be like Barbara Lee. Someone floated that on Twitter today, and I thought about it.
I mean, frankly, Elizabeth Warren, I think, is too old too, because she in of herself is too old, but like I think that when you add up the ages of the two nominees of the ticket, it really should not top 120.
I did not realize Barbara Lee was that old. Like, I met her in person.
Yes. Are you kidding? No way.
But she doesn't, I mean, that's just kind of the benefit of our, anyway, but I would have put her in her 60s. I definitely wouldn't put her at 73, but you're right. That's kind of aged out.
You just can't do it. I just don't think you can do it. And for a while I was thinking like Ayanna Pressley. I don't know that she has the experience or the gravitas at this point in her career, but
I think she has the career gravitas, maybe not, but just gravitas in general. I mean, she's a hard hitter. I think she can handle the debate. She can handle herself. She can comport herself. I actually hadn't even considered that. That's actually,
I mean, I haven't heard anybody ever float her name, but it just occurs to me that like, she endorsed Warren, so you'd bring that along. She's a member of the squad, so you would get that sort of cachet. I don't know.
I mean, she's not particularly viewed as the most progressive.
No, she's not.
But at this point, like I said, they don't give a damn about I don't think they honestly care about the progressive movement, and I don't think that's a smart move. But so that may just be kind of a Hail Mary that could salvage But then again, like if you have to think in terms of a conventional Democratic consultant, they would be screaming at anyone suggesting Ayanna Pressley because she's from Massachusetts, which is not a swing state. So everyone is saying you got to get someone from a swing state, which, maybe, but this is a whole different ball game. This 2020 is different than any other year, and I don't think that they're making those calculations. I think the protest that we're seeing strategically across these states is probably going to be more impactful than a swing state VP pick, simply because of the coronavirus.
Yeah, I agree with that. What's your take on the? And maybe I don't want to get into this conversation, but your take on those that we've seen on Twitter anyways, who claim they will not be voting for Joe Biden because he doesn't, he's not,
honestly,
Bernie Sanders policies.
I've done this now. This is my second campaign doing politics, as a podcaster, right? So I was in the first wave in 2016. You get demoralized, right? It's very aggravating. The games, the bitterness. So I understand anyone who's at this point who's like, I'm not going to vote at all. I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden. I get it. And I think the most important thing for them is to, if you ever want to stand a chance of convincing them otherwise, take a step back and let them breathe, Don't try to do like Mehdi Hassan did, which was attack them the very same day Bernie Sanders dropped out. You have these people with huge platforms attacking people who are demoralized. I mean, people flew across the country on their own dime to canvass for Bernie Sanders. You got to give these people space to vent and let them make the decisions for themselves. And then once they see that you respect them enough to give them space to vent, then maybe you can convince them otherwise. Of course, Donald Trump is worse than Joe Biden, even if you just look at the coronavirus. I do not think that I know without a doubt Joe Biden administration would not have handled the coronavirus this way, and there would be probably thousands of people still alive. So I think things like that matter. I'm in Georgia, so it doesn't really matter what I'm going to do so much because I don't think we're a swing state yet. But I think we do need to give the Bernie supporters as much time as they need because they demanded we give Elizabeth Warren the time that she needed to make up her mind after Barack Obama made up his mind. Right,
exactly. I'm with you on this. I think it's very early. I mean, this is not 2016, and we're months away from the convention not happening, essentially.
Yeah.
And maybe it being a
Zoom convention.
Like a Zoom convention. So I'm with you on that. I think that we've got plenty of time to talk about that, and I'm not terribly worried about it, frankly, to be honest with you. I think the bottom line is that there are people who are going to be wanting to come out and vote against Donald Trump, and if that's not enough to carry,
but I don't. On the flip side of what you're saying, though, I don't think that they need to be worried about Bernie supporters who are disillusioned. That's a percentage that maybe they could ignore. I'm not going to say they can. Right. It's a risk. But who they can ignore are all these people who are newly unemployed, right? Who just got a stimulus check. And then some of them are going to get a physical check.
Didn't get a check.
Or didn't get a check, right? So they're in a bad spot and they don't believe either party is going to help them at all. But if they did get a check, and they're going to get a physical check, it's going to be a check with Donald Trump's signature on it. I think that's much more significant in terms of how this is going to play out in November than whether or not Bernie supporters are angry or falling in line.
I agree. Let me just ask you, you're from Georgia. What is your opinion of Stacey Abrams?
You're asking me all the questions that are going to get me in trouble. I think Stacey is an accomplished politician. I think that I kind of admire the fact that she's unabashed with her ambition. Like most of the time when you ask somebody if they're running for office, they'll be like, oh, no, I'm just focusing on my job. Not Stacey Abrams. She was like, yeah, I'll run for president one day. That's refreshing. I don't know that I'm an absolute fan of it, but it is different. I think, again, she's an effective politician, and whether or not she's progressive or not, I mean, what is progressive? We dig down into it. I'm really filibustering here. That's all I have to say about Stacey Abrams.
There's a lot of ambition there. I mean, I don't know if I've run into somebody who's not less than twice removed from going to a house party that she put together at one point somewhere
or
something like that. I mean, it's a bit of exaggeration, but yeah. I mean, I think
listen, I would vote if she ran for governor. Like, I voted for her against Kemp. So obviously I would vote for her against any Republican on any given day. And so that's it. There you go.
Right. I mean, that is, and also, in the context of Georgia, your expectations can't be as great as they would be if you're in California.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
That's just the fact. I mean, I think this, that's just a fact.
Yeah. The politics, obviously, like the machinations that she would have to go through in Georgia is going to be uniquely different than what Kamala would go through in California. We would hope that we could, kind of have some standard expectations, but, I think that's a good context to put it in, Sam, and I'm going to use that one going forward.
All right.